Recording. Okay, I'm Coach Kevin Kearns in Boston. This is episode one of Coach Kearns' Corner. And we've got Keith Foster all the way in what part of Ireland?
County Antrim, Northern Ireland.
I can't pronounce that for shit. Anyway, we'll work with it. So we've known each other, how long has it been? 10 years now?
10 years plus, yeah, for sure, yeah.
10 years plus. So let's talk about our interesting, as I open my strawberries, because I got to friggin' eat. It's that time of day. Plus I want to train afterwards. Let's talk about, how we met and that kind of whole evolution. So let's jump back a few years.
Yeah, that's a really interesting story, and you call it a life interest story. At that time, UFCs had been going a few years, and the conditioning with the martial arts was starting to be revolutionized. And I was looking at some of the fighters that I liked, the shape they were in, the way they conducted themselves in the fighting arena. And Kenny Florian caught my eye at that time because of his engine, and I liked the way he looked. He looked like a fighter. He performed like a fighter, behaved like a martial artist at times. So I went on to his website, and because I actually wanted to see who's Kenny Florian's strength and conditioning coach. Because
That'd be me.
Yeah, that's exactly how I wanted to look and how I wanted to perform. So I went onto his site, and there it was, got a link to you. You had your regular for the public en masse DVD out at that time, Burn with Kearns Core Conditioning, I think it was called. So I got that, had a lot of fun with that there, and I thought, Kevin really should put out some MMA conditioning tapes. And I remember the first phone call, he said, yeah, it's funny you should say that, because that's exactly what I've been working on. And then we had the basement tapes. But I'll always remember we'd emailed back and forth because I was trying to get my head around your system, because I was relatively new to sports science and trained in martial arts before, without really having properly understand conditioning. Why am I doing sit-ups? What's it for? What's the point? This is completely dull. I just wanted to go and kick pads, kick somebody, do some grapple, all this stuff is just, it's dull. And so I didn't quite really understand the methodology, how it was structured. I'm sure my emails were as annoying as hell. Hey, what after that? Who is this idiot? It doesn't understand this. Gradually, over a period of time, I started to understand and appreciate it. And I was working in a surf fashion shop at this time, and I know you maybe don't remember this because it's so long ago, but the phone call went, and it was you. And this was the days before Zoom, when we had Facebook calls all for free. This, you'd taken your mobile and you'd taken time out of your schedule, and you'd rang me at my place of work, because we didn't actually know the 5 hours difference at this time. So I was also very impressed with that, the personal touch. And I remember it was maybe 6 months before you caught my accent. It was quite funny. I had to repeat over given up. We're used to UFC culture, United States culture. We're constantly watching US TV shows. If you're into UFC, if I like ice hockey, I like basketball, you're used to US presenters with accents all over the United States, and I've been lucky enough to travel throughout the United States. But it was kind of funny. Lots of people don't get our accents at the start. So
it took me a while.
Yeah, you're there now.
I'm getting there. Just like, I don't have a heavy Boston accent, do I?
It's heavy enough, yeah.
Park the car in Harvard Yard.
Yeah, that's quite funny.
Well, I think the funny thing about your emails, because everybody who knows me, even at this technology stage, I'm still a phone guy. Because people say, you want me to ring you? I'm like, why don't I have a goddamn fucking phone? What I have a phone for? It annoys the hell out of me when I hear people say, just text me, I'm really busy. Who isn't busy? Why do you have a phone? I always respected Matt Damon for this. Well, of course, because he's a Boston actor. I always respected Matt Damon for this. Years ago, he was on Oprah, I think, at one of the shows, and And this is when phones started becoming a big thing. He goes, the other day I'm driving through LA or wherever. There's 4 people in the car and they're all on their mobile. I'm thinking they must, Matt being Matt, he's like, they must fucking hate each other because they can't talk. And, with this COVID thing, I think people have actually kind of figured that out. It's like, look, man, you got to spend more time with your family. You got to reconnect. Like most of the time still, like I did a consult last night with a girl who I landed a good contract in Rhode Island for the domestic abuse center in Rhode Island. And I told them, I gave them a price and I said, if it doesn't work, we'll work it out because it's just the right thing to do. These women and these kids have been tortured. So the woman who runs the shelter, sure enough, her daughter was attacked and she's had 5 spinal surgeries. She was hit over the head with a TV. And I told the woman, it's just that old quote, when your heart speaks, take good notes. My heart says, you got to do something about this. So I told Loretta, I said, I'm working with your daughter and I don't want a nickel. She's like, what? I said, I'm going to work with your daughter privately and I don't want a nickel. I don't know what to say. Say yes. That's all you got to say. Say yes, because it's just the right thing to do. And so many times, I'm going to eat my protein cookies before training. It's my cheat. It makes me feel like I'm cheating. I'm actually eating a chocolate chip protein cookie. I'm like, I'm cheating. Anybody watching? Coach is cheating. So I think it's important nowadays to still give that personal touch. Anytime I've trained an athlete, which I've been fortunate enough to train a lot of them, and Marcus Davis is a prime example of a person of the people. He just is. He's a person of the people. I still work with him to this day on projects. I brought him into a corporate location. Here we are at Granite Telecommunications, and we have an MMA conditioning seminar with Marcus Davis. People shit their pants. We had 30 people, and then he had privates lined up back to back to back. He came in town, made a lot of money. He was happy. And he was great, approachable. That's why I look at people like Taylor Swift and I try to model her career. She's one of the smartest, most sincere people you'll ever meet. She had a concert, the way I'm reading this book called A Million Followers, she had a concert for 1,000 fans at her home. She's brought in Christmas presents to fans' homes because she knew that at the concert, people would be Snapchatting and Instagramming the whole bit, and those 1,000 would reach out to 3,000. And it's sincere. She's honest. I think people have lost a degree in sincerity.
Yes, I see that. I see that in pro athletes. Some are so aloof, and I was lucky enough to meet Muhammad Ali in 1997, and he was again a man of the people. Given he was in his early 50s at this time, so his Parkinson's syndrome was still quite advanced even at that time. But I still noticed at that time there was a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar adjacent to him, and there was Dennis Rodman to the other side, and lots of other pro athletes, both current and retired. Ali, as soon as he saw a kid, he was up. It took 4 times the time to get to meet Ali than other athletes, because he took time to meet with every single person. Any person that wanted a photograph, anytime there was a kid, he got up and he went up, and he was still trying to goof around. He got a boxing stance, and he was goofing around, trying to do a little bit of boxing. For everybody else, it seemed like a big deal to get a photograph taken. And I just not many of the people, but he was something special.
Exactly. Let's face facts. If I didn't have fans, if I didn't have people like you, people like Jamie, other people around the globe, the whole bit, I wouldn't be where I'm at. My success is in part to you guys. My success is to people like Rob Hewitt, the owner of Fighters Only magazine and Train magazine. My success is to Nick Peep, my editor from Train Hard, Fight Easy, Fighters Only, Train Magazine, Ray Clark down in Australia, because they let me speak my piece. They let me write whatever I want. And, you know, as my old coach, business coach, Ryan Lee said, and I don't like this word, you don't write to make money. You write to become, he said an expert, but an authority, you know? For people to read my stuff, my shit, I'm like, thanks, man. I appreciate it. For people to buy my DVDs, it's my concept. You know, this is my idea. You know, as I've said to you and I said to other people, there's 4 things I'll tell you about me, my company, and as all you guys are certified under me, all my coaches. I don't know everything. I'm not going to claim to know everything. You're never going to do an exercise protocol I haven't done it myself, and I don't endorse any product at all, no matter what they want to pay me. And when I was at my height training 15 UFC fighters, a lot of product people wanted to pay you a lot of money, and I'm like, no, I don't use it. I'm not going to let my fighters use it because I don't believe in it. Mm-hmm. And that goes down to even cars. I'm on my 4th Volkswagen. You ask me about cars, what do I like? What cars do I like? I'll tell you, Volkswagen. It's my 4th one. I just bought an all-track just recently. Love the car, got a great deal on it. Car before that was Subaru. I used to go to Subarus all the time. You know, I've even had a Mazda CX, which I thought was a great crossover, was a Mazda 2007 CXT. It was a great car. You know, those are the cars I went after. You know, you asked me about suspension trainers. You know what I'm going to say? Airfit and KO8, both great products. You know, you asked me about the Body Blade. Yes, you asked me about the Bosu. Definitely. I know David Weck, great invention, ahead of his time, the whole bit. You asked me about some great coaches. My mentors, Rod D. Ferguson, Juan Carlos Santana, Vern Gambetta, Mike Clark, Mike Boyle, God, who else? Douglas Brooks, Kenny Lodato. You know, as far as striking coaches, John O'Brien, Mark Delagrati, John Franco, Coach Stephen Whittier. You know, the list goes on. The Katie Tracy Kali teachers, Guru William Schultz, Mark Wiley. I mean, you know, mentors. But, you know, we're not here for that. But it is true. I don't endorse anything, you know, unless I use it. You know, jiu-jitsu, which didn't take for me, Roberto Maya, hands down, all the way. Coach Steve Whittier, all the way. You know, but so you got into the conditioning. Now, I know it's the Dragon Family Dojo, right, at your house?
Yeah, that's just my affectionate name with the Japanese flag above the. I was told the connection to Bruce Lee and Dragons. I thought, yeah, Dragon Dojo with this Japanese flag. So yeah, that'll do nicely. Yeah.
Well, the fighters that used to train at my house, like Kenny, because you know my other name besides Coach, which, you know, I appreciate people calling me Coach and just kind of stuck. So I feel kind of weird when people call me that, but it is what it is. Because I don't feel I'm an expert because I'm learning every day. I take the martial art approach. I'm always a beginner, always exploring, always, you know, trying to look at things from a different angle, a different perspective. And, you know, when I, my first piece of home equipment in the 90s was a NordicTrack, because I looked at traditional cardio and I'm like, I'm only using my legs. I'm building no endurance in my upper body. I got a NordicTrack and the thing kicked my ass in 20 minutes. I was like, what the hell? And it's one of the best things. I love swimming. I built myself up from 20 minutes of straight swimming to an hour, 5 days a week. But then you have to find a pool. You know, you put me out in the salt water, I'm going to come out of the salt water. It's the best exercise known to man. And I did the NordicTrack. Then, you know, when I got married, we moved into a 3-bedroom apartment. I had I was a bodybuilder at one point. So I had a squat rack, a bench, the whole bit, and the NordicTrack and the TV. And then, you know, my first house, my whole basement was a gym. When we got our second house, you know, which was bigger, you know, I told my ex, I said, I want one bay for my car, one room for my office. The rest of the house is yours. The basement's off limits. And I turned it into, you know, a $40,000 gym, VersaClimb, a medicine ball, you know, traditional weights, kettlebells, Indian, you name it, I had it. Banana bag, 4-way bag unit, double end bag, speed. I had it all. all in my basement because I'm a big fan of having backup. Plus, if you add the money up, now you don't have to go to a location. I always believe, as you know, backup, whether it be training or food. You know, I'm cooking last night, and no, I wasn't. Was I cooking? No, it was this morning. I did Coach's Kitchen this morning, and while my vegetables are cooking for my eggs, which not that I eat, as you know, not that I eat traditionally eggs every day. It just happened that I was rotating the food, rotating my eggs. That was my rotation for today. But peppers take longer to cook versus spinach. So I'm waiting for the vegetables to cook. And because I was, you know, I'm an ex-pasta and pizza chef for 6 years when I was younger, I'm prepping something else. So I'm making my shake for tomorrow at the same time. Because people like my great app guy from Connectic and Budo Code, Chris Fulmer, smartest app guy in the world, also a high-level martial artist. He says, Coach, it'd be great to see you making the food. So I started doing that because I'm very simplistic, as you know. One pan guy. I tell everybody, buy a 5-quart ceramic pan, buy a wok, you're all set. Don't tell me you can't cook healthy. None of my recipes take more than 20 minutes. Backup.
Yeah, just whenever I was building my gym, that's what I always had in mind was all the equipment that you use in your protocols, as you say, because there's absolutely no point in me going to, but there's a lifestyle gym. It's a massive gym and it's very good. And my wife goes there. But if I went there, I'd be walking around. So where's your BOSU? Where's your ladder? You know, where's your punch bag? I'd be looking for all the stuff I have in my gym anyway. So it'd be absolutely, I'd be using your protocol. So it'd be absolutely pointless me joining our gyms. So the whole idea and the principle when I was setting up was, I've got the punch bag, I've got the floor to ceiling, I've got the speedball. So if other people come out, we can all have our own stations and a place for sparring and focus nets and, you know.
Exactly.
Whole 9 yards, as you say in Boston.
Well, your gym is called Dragon Family Dojo. my gym, Kenny Florian termed this Dr. Evil's Dungeon. You know, they always knew when they went downstairs it was trouble.
Yeah.
Always knew it was trouble. You know, Versa climber, you know, free weights, kettlebells, every medicine ball you can imagine, body blade. It was all matted, you know, punching bag, chin-up bars, everything and anything. And, you know, over time, I went from, you know, that was probably, I bought that house in 99, and in 97, 98 got exposed to functional training. So, you know, it's funny, my rack with my Olympic bar and everything didn't get touched for 20 years. I'm like, you want to squat, you want to deadlift, great. Okay, that's fine. You want to bench press? This is going to offend people, and I really don't care. Bench pressing is great when you have a refrigerator parked in your chest. That was the problem when I started training at when I started training with Mark Delagrati in 2005, 2006, 2005, who's, you know, one of the best striking coaches in the world, training at Sityodtong, and UFC was starting to take hold. I started watching how some of these amateurs and pros, or they were just becoming pro, were training. And I'm like, they're bench pressing and squatting 6 weeks before a fight. I'm like, something's wrong with that. Where's the sports specificity? Where is it? You know, where is it? You know, you don't need to go for strength hypertrophy 6 weeks before a fight. You should be working on your endurance. You know, where's the ladder drills? Where's the medicine ball drills? I remember Mark had one medicine ball and it had electrical tape around it, literally. You know, they had a deflated stability ball and they had some dumbbells. And I'm just looking at people going, you know, and then lo and behold, you know, I started training some of the amateurs, and I became a sponsor for Kenny, patching the shorts, and then he tweaked his back 3 weeks before the Sean Shirk fight. His marketing manager called me, who was my marketing manager, told me, and I said, well, where's his strength coach? Well, he's back in Vermont with his girlfriend. I'm like, well, that works. He's like, can you go over and do all that flexibility stuff that you know with him? Went over, stretched him out. He felt better, and then I got, you know, my heart spoke to me. I got an inspiration. I said to Kenny, I said, I'll tell you what, I'll come out on my own nickel, pay my flight, hotel, food, everything, and I'll stretch you out every day, whatever you want, whatever you need, because I want you to win. I took an opportunity. He said, great. So I remember sitting in my hotel room, and I'm 2 blocks away from their hotel, which 2 blocks in Vegas, yeah, that's like 2 miles. And,
Sounds like New York.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, excuse me, it's hot as balls out too. And I'm up between 6 and 6:30, and these guys are sleeping until 11. I remember sitting there waiting, working on my computer till like 10:30, just waiting for them. Yeah, can you come over? Go over, spend like 3 hours, come back. I did that for 4 days. Now, Kenny lost the fight, because he was outclassed. Cut Sean Shirk in the second round, which Shirk bled like a sieve. Kenny fought his ass off. His brain got boosted, which he didn't realize, and he decided to make a change. So I remember day one, in my basement. One of the things I wanted to drill in his head is about being a pro. And some of these guys had to learn to be pros. And this is where you come in. And, most of these guys would fight, win, excuse the English, fuck off, and then get serious 6 weeks before a fight. That to me isn't being a pro. So Kenny's in my basement day one. I said, Kenny, do you like Tom Brady? He's like, yeah. I go, he's a pro, right? He's like, yeah. I said, do you like Tiger Woods? He's like, yeah. I said, he's a pro too, right? He goes, yeah. I said, are you a pro? He goes, yeah. I go, then fucking act like it. There is no off season. You fight, you win. Unless you're injured, you get a week off and you're back in the goddamn gym starting at base phase. Got it? That's why a lot of his interviews between 2007 and 2010, they meant, oh yeah, there is no off season. There is no off season. And what many people don't know, and I don't want to take up, I want to talk about, where you've come, but what a lot of people don't know is right before the Joe Lozon fight, he had a back issue for years. Bad. And I rehabbed it from ground up. I'm talking, he pulled up, most people don't know, he was supposed to fight Sam Stout the first time, had to pull out of the fight 3 days before it in Vegas because he was getting a t-shirt out of the drawer in Vegas and pulled his back out. He pulled out of the fight. So his back was bad. And 6 weeks into our first training cycle, base phase, strength and hypertrophy, he was doing fine. We were making progress. And, when he first came to me, back issue, shoulder issue, ankle issue. I'm like, great, now I got to rehab him too. Okay, I'll do it. And we were making great progress. 6 weeks into it, Ron, his marketing manager, calls me. And he says, actually, I think it was almost like 8 weeks, but it was about 6.5 weeks. Every phase is 6 to 8 weeks, depending upon where we are. His marketing manager called me and said, hey, Kevin, I think Kenny's going to cancel on you. I said, what do you mean? He tweaked his back last night. I said to Ron, I go, what do you want me to do? He goes, you gotta break the cycle. You gotta get in his head. Because if he keeps thinking his back's bad, we're never gonna go forward. We're never gonna go forward. I said, okay, Ron, time to be Dr. Evil. Kenny calls me up and he pulls the, coach, mind you, it's like 11 o'clock. That's when he worked out. But I get it because wake up late because they fight late. Yeah, I kind of tweaked my back, I don't know, man. And I hear all this low confidence, this, doubt. He says, what do you think I should do? What do you think I should do, Kevin? I said, get your ass over my house. I said, what are you going to do? Play Nintendo fucking DS all day? He comes over my house, blows in the front door, doesn't even say hi to my kids, hi to my wife, comes downstairs and he's pacing, pissed off at me. I'm like, great, I just pissed off a pro fighter. Oh, well. He's pacing back and forth. I walk up to him and go, bro, we're starting explosive power. Let's try to see what you can do. We can work around anything. And you know what? Broke the cycle. We did agility ladders, explosive power. He's like, wow, this is just like back in when I was playing, because he was a great soccer player. When I played soccer, bang, broke the cycle. He didn't injure his back until first week of April 2008, before the Joe Lozon fight. He had picked up like a bed or something. He picked up a bunch of stupid, heavy shit. Moved up 4 flights. Calls me. He's like, I can't stand up. I go, what? I go, we're 6 weeks before a fight. Oh, shit. I'm like, you're kidding me. I go, what did you do? I picked up this bed. I did this. I did that. I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, crap. He goes to the neurosurgeon 3 annular tears in one of his discs. Now that could have been old. We don't know. I'm like, I'm like, we're screwed. His career's done. Went back to the neurosurgeon 4 days later. He's like, your core's pretty goddamn strong. It's a good thing it is. He goes, you can start training again next week.
Wow.
And, nobody knows that, but you can hear him if you play his old interview. He even says, and we were kind of pissed at it. He said, I'm not even supposed to be here. He wasn't. So when he fought Lozon, he had wrecked his back 6 weeks before that. So I had to kind of put a bunch of prehab stuff in his gas in the tank program to keep his back healthy. But if we hadn't built a stronger core over that year and a half that we had trained together, he would have been screwed. He would have been definitely screwed. I remember just first time doing the core killer with him. He's like, my arms are killing me. I go, yeah, of course, because you're holding the ball up isometrically. Because we're using your entire body as a unit, just like martial arts, just like jujitsu. It's the same stuff. Muscles don't function in isolation. Great, you can bench press. As I say to people that come in, I can bench press 500 pounds. How many pull-ups can you do? None. That's functional, really. What are you going to do when you have to pull yourself up a wall, up on a boat, up on a dock? You're fucked. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I remember a story, and it's this woman. She was on a Good Morning Breakfast show over in the UK here, and she wrote a book about her dating experiences. And
This is funny.
It was a bodybuilder. Yeah, I told you this before.
No,
so
tell me, but I love the story.
Appreciate this. And her car broke down, and she was dating this night. This particular date was a bodybuilder. This guy was huge, she said, and her car broke. She expected, he's going out of the car. He's all this muscle and strength, and it's going to be no problem. And he says, no, I can't push your car because it may tear my bicep muscle. And she's like, shit, this body, she's dated this bodyguard, this guy was huge and he had muscles, and yet he wouldn't go out to push the car because he probably already knew his muscles weren't going to be functional. They weren't designed for pushing heavy loads up a hill, or, yeah. So he was designing just for aesthetics. This is quite sad.
And you know what, brother? That's fine if that's your thing, right?
Yeah.
Fine. You want to do bicep curls, which, nothing, no offense to Train Magazine the other day, what's better, straight bar or easy bar curls on the group page. I went, how about none of the above? I said, how about dumbbell uppercuts or chin-ups, real chin-ups? I said,
it's funny. I was looking for Train Magazine yesterday in town, but it went in because of the whole COVID thing. The store that recently opened had no magazines whatsoever, so they're probably waiting for everything to be delivered again. But I said to my wife, I actually prefer the female fitness magazines because they're more functional. When I look at Train Magazine, if I've ever bought it in the past, it's because of your articles, and I have a plyo box as well. I was going to buy it, so I wanted to read more about the plyo box and how you apply it to your style of conditioning. And so I said to my wife, you buy Train Magazine and it's all full of bodybuilders with muscles on muscles, and the guys are huge. And she says, I can't do any of these routines, and the whole ethos behind Train Magazines is, just read it, do it. And I says, I'm not a full-time bodybuilder. I can't do these routines. But if you pick up Train for her or any of the female bodybuilders, that here's yoga, here's functional training, here's something about running. I says they're much more marketed to the real person.
The good part is they do put in, like, they've got the two brothers in there, I forget their names, that are all about body weight, which is cool. Yeah. And, I get it. I mean, they're appealing to that side of the market, and I get it. That's fine. And they still let me spout off. I threw out I was doing yoga yesterday out in the quad. And, so I just, my brain just kind of goes, and I came out with, like, it just happens sometimes. And I came out with 8 article ideas for Train Magazine, and I sent them out. I sent them all to Ray Clark, my editor. Why the 40 and 50 plus guy needs to put yoga in their life. Why we are all stick and sword fighters at one time, how to make the shoulders flexible again. Core exposed. What is the core? Why is it important? And what muscles make it up? And how does it work? Why a rotating taxonomy diet can heal you from the inside out and make you perform better in the long run. The set of the elements of fitness and why you need them in your daily programming and how they can affect your overall health. The best way to get rid of stubborn belly fat. Don't increase the weight, increase the neural demand and burn more calories. You don't need weights to get strong and lean. Limb strong, core weak, how to improve your gut strength to make you an overall beast. Old school movements that are new school today. This is the one he picked, but he's like, he goes, I couldn't choose. I'm like, get primal. The top 8 exercises that should be in everyone's program. That's the one. That's the next one.
Yeah, just getting back to what you were saying about Kenny and his back issues. You know, I wish I'd known you that time. I'm saying I was 2 belts away from my black belt in Taekwondo, and I had a top level instructor. He was an amazing martial artist, amazing person. He was ex-military. And not only that, he was a PT. And so if you got into the jailhouse in the military, it was his job to punish you. So he knew how to run a taekwondo class, and he was amazing. But he had his instructor when he met him in the army in Germany, taught him his taekwondo, so he was still affiliated with him. So whatever Grandmaster Che said at this time sort of went. And you know, if we were going down the sport route, then we did a lot of sport. If we were down self-defense, then we changed to self-defense. You know, so this was constantly changing under his direction. So at this time period, I had a car accident, and so I went to treatment for that. Basically, on the way home from work, we got rear-ended by a car, so that was causing me back problems, and that took many months to fix. My physio was lucky enough, he was a jiu-jitsu black belt, so he kind of understood where it was coming from. But as great as he was, he did as much harm at that time period. You know, my taekwondo instructor said, you know, if you don't compete in taekwondo, you know, you can't go for your brown belt. You know, you can't go to the next level. And my physio says to me, he says, Keith, your back won't be able to endure the rigors of the training. You're going to have to up your training. You're going to have to do so much more conditions. He says it can't be done. You have facet joint syndrome. And I was like, you know, I was in a really bad place at that time because then the physio diagnosed me with this prognosis, and I was like, shit, facet joint syndrome. Yeah. And of course, like everybody goes on, you Google what facet joint system or facet joint syndrome is, and you're like, shit. And he says, I don't want this. And he says, you know, and your negativity and fear and everything is all fed. And I didn't have anybody you to say, oh, you know, like, oh, you know, you do your core, you do your yoga and everything else, and you know, I'll be fine. I know now, you know, the only time I feel, you know, my back has any issues is when I have to stand for long periods of time, and that's work related. Aside from that, there with movement prep, with yoga, with the core killer, you know, I started to realize and appreciate how everything is connected. And even now, and I'm almost 50, I can compete in taekwondo now, you know, no issues. But at that time period, you know, and even now, I get frustrated thinking, you know, that took away from my black belt. Probably at that time period, I'd known better if I'd understood and appreciated, you know, what, you know, your instructor was saying we're doing this for the core, but nobody explained to me, that's all well and good. What is the core? It wasn't like, why am I doing sit-ups? Why am I doing crunches, you know, it's just a warm-up? And, you know, the coach would have said, this is for your core. Okay, what the fuck does that mean? What is your core? Please, somebody tell me what a core is.
Find it, please. You know how I teach when I do my certifications? Let's demystify it, right? Let's just demystify it. Take a crayon, because they don't trust me with sharp objects, and draw a line from your right shoulder to your left hip, your left shoulder to your right hip. There's your core, as we call it at Burn Recurrence in the system, your performance X. Is it your hips? Yes. Is it your gut? Yes. And it's all the muscles in the gut, especially the transverse abdominis, which is the only muscle that runs laterally, which is this thin, which is one of the most important. Is it your obliques? Is it your internal obliques? Is it your paraspinals? Is it your serratus anterior? Is it your subscapularis? Yes. You know, the best thing Juan Carlos ever taught, one of the best things Juan Carlos Santana ever taught me, which I love this guy for doing this, is 800 of us at the Perform Better Summit. And believe me, I was at the second one, which we only had 200. So it's built over time. Now it's 2 days. He tucked his shirt in. He says, you want to see how your muscles move? Went like this. He said, see the lines in my shirt? That's how your muscles are moving. We all went. I'm like, why didn't somebody tell me this in fucking anatomy class? I teach that to people all the time. Like, wow, I never thought of that. Because it's the same thing. If you have one of those rash guard shirts on, you know, and you move and you see the lines, that's your fascia. That's exactly what your fascia is doing, which is holding your muscles together. Versus this ice.
Yeah, just when I was doing your beach bod transformation over that 12 weeks, there's one of the really unusual hot days in Ireland where I'd read the dojo and it was quite warm, so I took my t-shirt off. And it was the best thing I ever done, because as I was doing all the different motions, I was like, oh, that's why Kevin has me doing this exercise. I can see where the muscles reacting. And then we changed the next exercise and muscles were pulling in a different direction. And I was absolutely fascinated, because I started to see why you joined all the particular dots, because I'm always fascinated by how you construct your different programs. And I can see that one is leading into the other. And before obviously the program was over, that I'd worked every single muscle group that there was, because, you know, otherwise what's the point as a martial artist? What's, you know, I don't need to have this muscle here developed in isolation.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. I think I told you the other day, I had this young Asian kid come in. I just remember that because his English was really bad and he wanted to do kickboxing. And, you know, he played basketball first, which I told him he was nuts, but oh, well, it is what it is. And he sees me and he goes, you have really big biceps. I go, thank you. I haven't done a curl in 25 years. He's like, what? I haven't done a curl in 25 years. How do you get big biceps like that? Dumbbell uppercuts, curl to press, boxing, kickboxing, medicine ball stuff, you know, yoga. I don't know. I don't worry about that shit. You know, I'm not thinking about preacher curls, you know. Preacher curls aren't going to help me when somebody's sitting on my chest. They're just not. Preacher curls aren't going to help me when, you know, and this has happened multiple times because I'm on the road so much. When my car breaks down in an ice storm on a hill and I have to change the tire myself. Been there, done that, you know. Preacher curls aren't going to help me when I did that 200-pound tractor tire carry 100 yards in 95-degree heat because somebody told me I can't. I'm like, what? Don't ever use that word with me. Can't. I don't know that word. Read my history. Worst athlete in the neighborhood. Sucked at everything. I made myself an athlete. And as my old boxing coach, John O'Brien, would say, it's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the fucking dog.
Well, I was the same growing up. Bully little at school, wasn't much that's good at sports. The reason I played soccer, I'll use the American term. These guys, we call it football over here. That means something different in the US, as I know. But I ended up being a goalkeeper because I couldn't play out. I didn't have the dexterity. I didn't have the coordination to play out. So I became a reasonably competent goalkeeper because I sucked at pretty much everything else. I moved across short distances at a reasonable speed, you know, and I won the 100 meters only because the best runner fell near the finishing line. So I passed the ball. Nowadays, I thought myself, nowadays I think back and I think so I probably should have been back and picked him up and won, but I just this is the first time in my life I'm actually going to win something. So I went and won it, you know. But at that time period, yeah, I was the same. I sucked and I went and started karate when I was around 12 and 13. That helped a little, but the karate style was traditional. You know, there was no, you didn't get, you know, what do I do? Somebody puts me in a headlock. Was somebody grabs you, somebody puts a two-hand throat if he gets you on the ground. None of that was done. It was just like the whole thing. Reverse punch was your answer to all your problems. And it did work one time. There's a guy approached me, and I remember it so well. It was a joinery class, woodwork class, and I used a reverse punch, and it hit him right square in the nose, and it actually did a half somersault back. I connected so well. I was like, I shocked myself. You know, you've all these little sorry, but then there's other bullies who are bigger, and you couldn't. They said that your cry doesn't work on me, and sometimes, you know, it didn't. But that's the bruises that life presents itself with. You know, you're not always going to win the fights. But another guy, I remember, just in my local neighborhood, there's this guy, and we just didn't get on. And something happened when we were playing soccer, and he came out, and the fight was just going to go on. He threw 2 jabs. I kind of slipped both the jabs and kicked him in the balls, and that was the end of the fight. And he says, "You cheated. You used your karate." And I was like, "Well, what else do you use karate for? You know, instead of us beating heads of each other for 5 minutes and rolling around the ground for another 10, you know, that was the fight over. No bruises. Yeah, his balls were sore, like, but you know, no bruises, and nobody had to go to hospital. His pride was down to a little, and we moved on. It's all
It's
good.
a fight.
Yeah.
There's no rules.
One fun pick. My Gary. That's fight over.
There's no rules.
Yeah.
You know, when I teach women self-defense, because I combine everything in my bases obviously Western boxing, Muay Thai, and the Filipino stuff, and Jobo Kung Fu. So that's my base that I come from. And you know, I just taught a Zoom class last week, and I just got the account for domestic violence shelter down in Rhode Island, which I'm pretty happy about. Anti-bullying, the whole 9 yards. And I taught a Zoom class for my friend online. To 5 women. The first thing I said to him, this isn't about being nice, so forget it. If they ask you your time and you have a watch, you don't say, oh, because that's their time to close the gap. If they ask where this is, this street, you don't know. Use your mind and your words first to get yourself out. If you can't and it doesn't work, then you go for broke. You either send them to the hospital, you send them to the fucking morgue. That's how I teach. It's not pretty, it's not nice, it's gutter fighting. You know, I'm not interested in fairness, because it's already not fair. He's bigger than you, stronger than you, the whole bit. So anything goes. Bite, kick, scratch, rip out eyeballs, crush nuts, snap knees. I don't care. You know, we discussed this about the Israelis, how their mentality when they're on the street, they're going home, right? They're going home. The other person's not. And you know, I just had somebody new come in that I'm training today. She's 5'1", maybe 5'2", 120 pounds. She's had five spinal surgeries. She's in pain all the time. Her nerves were, she was born, her nerves were on the outside of her spine. She dated this guy that was like 250, and he physically tried to choke her and then hit her over the head with a flat screen. To me, if you're gonna pick up your hand and hit a woman or hit a child, there's something wrong with you. And as far as I'm concerned, you belong 3 places: in jail, in the hospital, or in a pine box.
Yeah, there's so many movies and I've seen over the years, and somebody's been in talk with somebody and they're in this choke position, and now I'm screaming like, trap and roll, for fuck's sake, for the love of God, please use trap and roll. And it takes, I usually, if somebody's come out to do Gracie Jiu-Jitsu with myself, and it's the first thing I get them to do. I sit on top of them, and I put the choke hold on, just a standard choke. And I said, now what do you do to get out of this? The first thing somebody wants to do is punch, to do something like a punch upwards. And I said, that's wrong. I have gravity, so I punched down and punched the mat beside him and say, you know, that's just going to piss me off. I said, you can punch me, that's going to annoy me. So then they struggle, and I'll take the back. Just not to show off, just to show. And Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, we start in this position because it's probably one of the most dangerous places to be on a fight. So everybody that starts learns Gracie Jiu-Jitsu with me. This is where I start. This is where I start them from. And it's always interesting to see how everybody reacts. Everybody wants to punch. Everybody wants to strike. And then I actually show them how to do it and how it takes, you know, a little bit of leverage, almost no strength at all, and it can be taught in under 2 minutes. It's just light bulb goes up and says, look how simple, you know, this is, and everybody's flapping around and using up so much energy, and everybody wants to punch, and it says, here, you trap the hand, you raise your hips, and you turn your knees over, and you're out. And you're ready to go home. Like, getting back, if I can reverse up a little bit to your beach body transformation.
Yeah,
when I talk about that for a minute, when I first received the email and I printed it out and I was looking at it, and it's like, okay, day one. I understood day one. Yeah, that's no problem. Day 2, okay. We're trying to work out why 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah, I took my number 3. Okay, we do ladder drill. Number 6, yeah, that's okay. And then I got on to number day 3. That was like, you do a ladder after every protocol, so that can't be right. So I think I maybe read it 3 or 4 times. I said, no, I got a message, Kevin, this can't be right. I misinterpreted, the emails, and there was I was much to my horror.
So, so back up for a second. So you went on the 8-week beach bar transformation program, right? So day 1, the circuit is, I think it's lower body, core, upper body, right? And there's 30 exercises. So when people think about 30 exercises, and they're all different, right? So that's day 1. Now, day 1, as you know, I think I told you thought I was nuts, will eventually be your rest day because, that should be done in 30 minutes or less. I think my best time doing that day 1 protocol was 23 minutes one day, And then day 2, you bump it up a notch. You go 45 seconds of an exercise, 15 seconds of rest, same formula, lower body, core, upper body, and then a minute of cardio between every third exercise. Now, which takes about 45 minutes. Day 3 is the real ball buster. Day 3 is 45 seconds of an exercise, 15 seconds of rest, 45 seconds of cardio between every exercise for 30 exercises. That's the one that people want to kill me on.
Yeah. I think because I remember about halfway, and it's such a shame we didn't have a video call this year because my legs became like Bambi, and they just became uncoordinated. It was so funny.
Flopping around.
Yeah, they were going all over the place. They just would not behave in the manner I wanted them to. That was funny.
Well, that's the whole thing. I mean, you want to develop a new engine. That's a different level of endurance. That's why I got those 2 boxes now. One wants to go pro. He's 22. I finally got him to start eating cleaner. He's got a fight in 6 weeks. I'm like, what are you doing? So his brother, who's lost 100 pounds, he's a little bit less cocky. Jay's a good kid. He's just young, and, I don't know what they're feeding him as far as at the school, at the boxing club. But, I'm like, if you want to be a champ, you got to eat like a champ. Just because you're thin and lean and the whole bit doesn't mean you can be eating French fries. Garbage in, garbage out, And I remember the first day I trained him last week on a Friday, I had the Eliminator, the double thick rubber band. And, because he's like, I don't want to lift weights and stuff. I said, we're not lifting weights. We're not gonna, the most you're going to lift is 4 pounds. He's like, 4 pounds? I said, yeah, the sledgehammers. That's it. It's a trampoline, sledgehammers, air fit, resistance bands, medicine ball, agility ladder, and that's it. And the trampoline, jump sport fitness trampoline. That's it. I remember halfway into it, he was like, I'm going to throw up. I'm like, you might. And I'm like, I'm being nice tonight. And he'd send me, like, I hit them up in the morning. I'm like, have you eaten yet? No. Why? That's why, no offense to anybody, I'm not a big fan of intermittent fasting. It's not how I learned. Because your metabolism, I used to work at Bertucci's with the log fires, right? So the fire would die down, you had coals. So you have to throw a couple logs in on the fire to get the thing going again. Your metabolism's the same thing. If you don't throw a log on the fire, your mother said, probably taught you the same way, taught me, breakfast is the most important meal. What does it stand for? Break the fast. Duh. So guess what? Just like I remember talking to this kid the other day, one of my clients who wrestled in high school. Yeah, don't drink water because you'll cramp. What? I'm like, how fucking stupid can people be? Just how stupid. And all good for the physiotherapist and telling you that. And I've heard these stories that, everybody's having them. I had a guy with stage 2 MS, diagnosed 15 years ago. They told him he was going to be in a wheelchair. When he's 60, training like a beast, does 50 push-ups because he met a trainer named Joe McKenna, God rest his soul, that died, and told him, you will be able to do this. You will be able to do that. It's all programming. And it's not, I'm not saying it's easy. It's not easy. Everybody has their doubts. And as Dr. Wayne Dyer would say, our doubts are our traitors. I have my doubts too. You know, I've had them before. Everybody gets down from time to time. That's why you have mates. That's why why have friends on Facebook if you can't reach out to them? You know, why have friends at all? As they said before, you pick your friends, you don't pick your family. So your beach bar transformation, how did that evolve? What have you gained from that?
Confidence, largely that, you know, you can do something. When you look at the program, I thought, geez, I'm not going to be able to do that. But as I progressed and I just loved the way my body started to shape, especially like that time when it was quite warm and uncomfortable. So I took my t-shirt off and I was starting to get comments how people say we can definitely notice the change in the shape. Plus something like I've always heard from your fighters before, got a new engine. So I started to get a new engine, flexibility started getting better. My body started to look shaped and sculpted in a different way that I haven't seen for quite some time. I've got a photograph of myself in Thailand where you could just about see a six pack there. I think it was maybe only 26, 27 at the time. And I had this private Thai boxing lesson, just the back of a house, you know, kicking Thai pads at 8 o'clock in the evening in Phuket, Thailand. And it was so hot, you know, and I was doing taekwondo at this time where everything was 110% all the time. You got your paddles out, and you were kicking them as fast, as hard as you could. And the guy kept saying to me, no, slow down, because, you know, the heat, humidity. But no, getting back to the beach ball, it was just getting back to your looking at 25 and feeling. I mean, I'm 48 right now, but my mind keeps telling me I'm 24 and 25. You know, last season before the COVID, you know, I was playing touch rugby. I like to surf as much as I can. Just surfing a few days ago, my ribs haven't healed from that yet. Experience yet, I've got a bruise in my right butt cheek from when I wiped out. You know, so you know, I'm playing touch rugby. Go surfing, we go snowboarding once a year. Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. I have major interest in boxing. I've loved the sport since I was a young teenager. So I'm doing all these different things, and my brain keeps telling me, yeah, you know, like you're 25 until you wake up the next day and you feel like you'd hit a freight train. but you know, but what I liked about it was the way it sculpts your body, and even day one, like you say, yes, it became a rest day, but as I evolved through the week, and I'll do this program again, but as I evolved through the 8 weeks going into 12, I stopped thinking it was a rest day in part, because then I upped the ante in day one. I started saying, no, I can't. Mentally, we're starting to use it as a rest day, if that makes sense. So I started to shift that mentality. It says no, I can really bust my balls at this day one and get a pretty good workout, which is what I started doing. So the whole 8 weeks was an evolution and how I conducted myself in the program, then get into day 2 and into day 3, and how can I make this harder? Oh, we'll add the body blade. It's not a question of heavier dumbbells or heavier kettlebells. It's how can I add, and that's something you taught me right from the get-go, is it's not always about heavier weight. You know, it can be just introducing an extra stability challenge, like you know, have me in the boxing program. I'm balancing on the BOSU for my active rest. You know,
exactly. Well, you know, it's interesting that you bring that up, because people all say to me, you know, how do you build your program models? I said, well, our core principles in my system are effective, efficient, and safe, as you know, because if it ain't safe, why are you doing it? I said, our next principles is to activate, they used to be called the 4 elements of fitness. Now I call them the 7. So those elements are push, pull, level change, rotation, locomotion, balance, and static strength. Which static strength I get from yoga and Pilates, because I'm telling you, you stand in a one-legged split for 2 minutes in a 95-degree room, you realize what strength is all about. So that's why I started, putting that as a definition of those elements. So when I look at programming, that's what I look at. I look at that, and then how do I develop a program around those 7 elements? And what's it for? Is it for a specific sport? Is it for a specific event? You know, what's this going to be for? So I got to model that as well. Where are their weaknesses? What do they need to work on? What do they need more flexibility on? What do they need this for? What do they need that for? What do they want to perform better for? You take that into account also. And then at the end of the day, you take those 7 elements of fitness, and you can take any exercise and you can tweak it. You can just put a performance tweak. So you take a standing band row with parallel feet, which is phase 1. You make that a little more difficult by going to a split stance. You take it to another level, have them stand on one leg. Take it to another level, add a squat to row. Take it to another level, have them stand on one leg on a foam roller on a boat. You know, you just keep playing with it. You know, that's why when everybody, all the gym rats freaked out when COVID shut the gyms down, I went, what's the big deal? I mean, when the summer hits and fall hits out here, I'm working out outside as much as I can because everything's in my vehicle. You know, everything. You know, as you know, I'm not a big shirt off guy, but on my 54th birthday last week, I posted pictures on Train and a few other sites thanking everybody. I'm like, okay, 54. I can carry a 200-pound tractor tire 100 yards in under a minute in 95-degree heat. I can press a 100-pound rage ball over my head. I can do a Turkish get-up with a 73-pound kettlebell or a 5-gallon water jug. And I said, I don't do curls and I don't bench press. So what does that tell you? You have to activate these elements, because if those elements aren't in your programming, you're not going to be functional. And let's look at the weight loss factors, which I think you've heard me say this at my certifications. It's simple mathematics. If I activate more joints, I activate more muscle, I burn more calories. It's simple fucking math. What do you want to do? Do you want to spend 2 hours in the gym and burn 300 calories? Or do you want to spend an hour in the gym and burn 900 or 1,000? You know, my gas in the tank.
I was doing in day 3, 900 plus up to 1,000 from movement prep to core color to the cool down at the end was 1,000 calories.
Yeah. Well, guess what? It takes to lose a pound of fat, burn 3,500 kilocalories. Fine. Do that 3 days a week. There's 3,000 calories. Duh. I'll give you a good example. When we filmed Gas in the Tank, you know, so Gas in the Tank, we would have same kind of similar program. You know, day 1 was a little bit easier, but not much. Kind of a rest recovery day. Day 2, I would kick it up a notch. Then every Friday, when I trained all my fighters, it was fight day, which meant 35 seconds on, no 15 seconds off, a minute after 9 exercises, 1 minute active rest. 3 rounds like that. So it took 17 minutes. Kenny had his heart rate monitor on 567 calories in 17 minutes. With a guy whose heart rate would not go above 177. I couldn't get it above there because he had an unbelievable cardiac output. But 567 calories in 17 minutes.
But is that quote that you always use, if you want to play, you have to pay. So you know, that's really stuck with me. And anybody that comes out to train, there's a couple of younger people come out and we're doing Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. But before we do that, we do 3 rounds of gas in the tank, and that's my mantra from there on in. You know, we have them on the battle ropes, hitting the tire with the sledgehammer, and then all your different working with bow shoes and all the different stability factors. I know, and they'll love it. I know, and it's very gratifying. I'm sure you get it all the time as a coach, and that's why you love it. And day 1, you see how much they struggle, and you know they can't do this, and they can barely get through the core killer. Give them a couple of minutes, and they're going through the core killer, the gas in the tank. They're starting to fly through it, and you can see the confidence. And it's what you say. What did I get out of the beach body transfer? You see the transformation. It's again. It's in the transformation that you feel transformed, not just your body, but you know, as a human being, and then it leads into confidence. You can go to work feeling better about yourself, feeling stronger, healthier, and that's what I like giving over to the people that come out to train with me. I like transferring the knowledge, and you know, even one of them, I'll say I'll go to university next year, so I'll maybe not see him till summertime, but I want him to go to university, you know, knowing the movement prep, knowing the core killer, and understand the protocols, so he can make the adjustments for whatever gym facilities he has whenever he goes to university. And the other fellow I work with, he has autism, so it's almost like Kenny in that sense. You know, when I'm communicating with, I'm not going to tell his name for privacy matters, whenever I communicate with him, sometimes you get one word answers, and I know when there's an issue, and it's usually autism related. So you have to somehow draw him out of this here. And when he's okay, you'll get these quirky gifts, because there's nothing as funny as someone with autism. There's a very unique sense of humor, and they really make you laugh. But they can go for these, like us all, supposed to go from these highs to these very lows very, very quickly. So I've loved watching his personal transformation, the confidence not only your system gives him to feel fit and healthy, because he has put on, sadly, with autism comes depression, and when we have depression, we tend to eat more and we get bigger. So it's trying to give him this confidence in martial arts and your conditioning system, gives him.
Well,
That's very, very rewarding.
Well, that's the point, right? The point is that this is what I've been telling people now for 10 years. And I'm like, when people say, so you're a personal trainer? I say, no, sorry, I'm not a personal trainer. I'm a personal fitness coach. I get invested in your life. I want to see you reach your potential. Nothing wrong with being a personal fitness trainer. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Good career, the whole 9 yards. I said, I'm not inexpensive, and there are other ways to get to me. Can't afford me? My $9 app. You want to go higher than that? Get on the Beachbody monthly program for $79. You want to go higher than that? Get on the weekly program. Get on the bi-monthly program, whatever it is. We can find a way. Follow me on YouTube, the whole bit. There is a way, because at the end of the day, this is about coaching and sharing energy. And, I made a commitment back in 1990 when I started the company, which was originally called the Fitness Connection until 2005, and then Bernard Kearns was born. My intention and my goal was to help end obesity one step, one person at a time, through every possible media channel. I don't care how it gets done, because obesity costs the world trillions of dollars. It's responsible for diabetes, some forms of cancer, depression, anxiety, suicide. The list goes on and on. And as I said in that radio program with Sharon Klein, I said, food is the easiest drug. You don't need an ID to get it. And anybody can get it. Anybody can eat their feelings away, and most people do eat their feelings away. One of my mentors just taught me this today. Feel it. If you can feel it, you can heal it. I'm like, that's a good one. I like little quips like, Kiyoshi Steve LaValle, think it, ink it. I just did this with a young man the other day. This guy, DJ, teacher, 27, 2 spinal surgeries for no reason, the whole bit, put on some weight. He's in a tough education field right now. He's, and the whole bit, and he's getting all this negativity, and he wanted somebody to be, a mentor. I'm like, I don't know if I can fill the bill. I can, teach you the little that I know, because I'm still learning, and the whole bit. And, I trained him the other day, complimentary, and he was, he couldn't stop thanking me. And the appointment was not just work out, it was also confidence building, and he was talking about stuff and this, that, and the other thing. And as well, because you're pretty in tune with the Zen and the Buddhism, you can start picking up people's emotions, and he's beating himself up and the whole bit. And that's why I try to remember every day, and I have to remind myself, take can't out of your vocabulary. Take shoulda, coulda, woulda out of your vocabulary. Like my great yoga mentor, Jackie Barnwell, said in class 8 years ago. I still remember this to this day, and I say it all the time. Forget hindsight. Hindsight is judgment. Think hindsight, because how do you know what it is until you go through it? As I've said before in my lectures for kids on anti-bullying, how do you know what sharp is until you cut yourself? How do you know what hot is until you burn yourself? How do you know what failure is until you fail? You've got to go through things. How many times you taught hot, don't touch it until you finally burn yourself? You go, oh, it's fucking hot, right? It's sharp. Oh, I caught my because it's like, my daughter's 17 and driving now. And people go, you're nervous. I go, I'm sure I am. I said, but I'm not that nervous because I taught her. And hopefully she'll take what, you know, she'll do the smart thing. You know, I make, you know, I make mistakes every day. I love Gary Vee the other day when he was on. I watch him all the time and I love his stuff. And he said, the fact that you're not focused is your focus. So I said, I got to look at this. And he's doing a lecture, seminar, whatever. And this woman gets up. She's like, yeah, I'm always doing this and always doing that. And people are telling me that I'm not focused. I'm not that. He goes, fuck them. The fact that you're not focused is your focus. He says, me, I have to have 100 things going on because if 20 don't pan out, I got these 80 things. That's how my brain works. And, you know, I had an epiphany meditating last week, and I started thinking about Edison. I said, 10,000 failures. Think about that. 10. Who keeps going after a fucking 1,000? 10,000 failures.
Who keeps going after 10 even?
Yeah. You look at, is it Bezos, whatever his name, from Amazon, years ago. Oh, you're going to sell used books? You're crazy. He had a 7-year and a 10-year plan. Look at Elon Musk, Walt Disney. People don't know about George Washington. We were losing the Revolutionary War for the first 7 years. Imagine trying to keep your troops motivated in a new country and you're breaking off from England. And people don't know this. If he didn't cross the Delaware, we would not be here. He did a surprise attack. The Hessians didn't take him serious. He did it in an ice storm with Nantucket fishermen because they were the best boatmen around. Guns, mortars, everything. And then when the war was over, he was offered to be the king of the United States and he turned it down because he said, I see something different for this country. Imagine that. That's what I call ego-less.
Yeah.
Ego-less. I mean, history repeats itself, man. History repeats itself. Look at Abe Lincoln abolishing slavery, taking that chance when the country's still young, and he has to send brother against brother. I mean, come on. How do you make that? How do you make that choice? Look at the people that signed. I'm not just saying my country, but look at the people that signed the Declaration of Independence. They would have been hung for heresy. They would have been hung. I mean, Winston Churchill. Come on. Look what he had to deal with. England was getting their asses kicked. You know? They were getting their asses kicked for crying out loud. I mean, he motivated the country. I mean, just crazy. Like they just said, I was watching Designated Survivor last night, and they had something about, you know, the current president wanted the guy to hold the story because it was going to be damaging to the country. And he showed him pictures of FDR during World War II, and FDR was crippled. But they never showed pictures of him because they didn't want to bring the country down. Perception is reality, right?
Yeah.
You know, perception is reality. So that's the whole, I mean, you look at that and you know, my whole philosophy with this and the whole Beachbody and the whole bit, and the reason I started Beachbody Transformation is because a few years ago, you know, I'm 54 now, I started hearing the same thing from guys. I want to be able to take my shirt off on the beach. I want to be able to take my shirt off in yoga. I want to be embarrassed. I'm like, I'm not embarrassed taking my shirt off. I go, what's the problem? And then I started thinking about it. They got man boobs. They got a beach. They got a dad bod, the whole bit. So I said, why don't we try this? It was originally called Beachbody Dad, and I changed it to Transformation because women were like, why can't we be on the program? I'm like, okay. You know? So I mean, you know, I'm glad you got the results you got. And as I've said to you, it's the 2 C's and the 3 D's: commitment and consistency, desire, discipline, and dedication. If you have it, you got it. You know, and you know, we got to wrap this up now. So as I always say, and I always close with, hold your vision, keep your passion, maintain and invest in your perseverance, no matter what anybody tells you. I mean, I was told when I started this company back in 1990, you're nuts. You'll never make any money. 5 years go by. Oh, you'll never last 10 years. 10 years go by. Now it's 28 years. So either he's telling me to do something wrong or I'm doing the right thing. I don't know. You know, I don't know. I'm just going to keep coaching.
Yeah. Okay, as you're saying off, just a personal thank you to yourself for everything that you've done. You know, we've all been through this here. It's so much appreciated. You know, a lot of people think on Beachbody, as soon as they hear this here, they think, oh, it's just for aesthetics. You know, it's just because you want to look, you know, have a 6-pack. But what people don't realize is it gives you back so much more. And as I alluded to, it's the confidence. Is when you wake up in the morning, going to work, you feel better about yourself. When you start to develop a new engine, you get this cardio high, and you go to bed happier. So it means you wake up with just that little more giddy up to your step. So it's much more than the title suggests. If anybody's thinking about don't think any longer and just do the program, because it's so much more than you get so much more than just a good body out of this here. And confidence is everything, and knowledge as well. Every time I pick up a different program, I got more knowledge. But you and I have known each other over a decade now, and I deeply value our friendship and everything you've done.
Yeah,
And
I appreciate that.
so you know why I check up on you most days. So this most Kevin probably gets his phone every day and says, "Hey, coach, are you okay?" Every day. He knows why I do this. So it's
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I have a lot of I appreciate that, and very much, my friend. I have a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah.
My phone starts going off at 3 a.m. around the world. Hey, coach, is this food okay? Is that coach? It's nice. It's nice to be needed, and it's nice to be wanted. And I'm a father, and I'm a coach, and that's what I do. I love coaching. I love, if somebody will listen to me, if somebody comes to me, I'm not going to turn a blind eye. It's just not how I am. If they're trying to negotiate me, not going to work. It's not going to work, because that's not what this is about. Is it about, and I appreciate what you said, because it's not just about looking better. It's about feeling better mentally and physically and emotionally. Wow, I can do, and believing in yourself, I can do this now. I did that, and having the memory and the history of, I did that program, I crushed that program, I can do this program, no problem. That's what I did with my gas in the tank fighters. I would make it fucking brutal on them. And I told them, I'd look them right in the face, and I said, you know what? This is going to be 10 times harder than any fucking fight you ever been in. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to lose this fight on conditioning. You have my word, my hand to God on this. And, I always, this was the touching moment 2 years ago. I'm at New York Medical University, the second time, lecturing in front of 200 doctors. Kurt Pellegrino is the keynote speaker. I hadn't talked to him in 5 years, at least. And he came on board with us after losing a fight that he shouldn't have lost. And they cut him from the main card to the undercard, which is a disgrace. Came to us, came to Kenny, wanted to be, the whole bit. I used to travel to New Jersey all the time. Had other trainers following my program. They check in with me. And he's had several concussions. So he was talking about concussion syndrome. He got up there in front of 200 doctors. He goes, before I start, I just have to do this because my memory isn't so good because of my concussions. He's only 45, which I'm like, wow. He goes, I want to thank Coach Kearns publicly because he got me in the best shape of my life and helped me finish my career. And I'm thinking, I was touched. I was like, wow. I'm like, wow. He goes, I wanted to say that now because I didn't want to forget. I don't want to forget. But, it's because of him that, I finished up. I got back in the main card. I finished up my career, and I was in the best shape of my life.
Well, yeah, I'm just reading here too. But I'm the same. Thanks again. Not just on a personal note, but for the condition, and it's now that I have even a basic or rudimentary understanding of your system that can transfer it. And can keep continuing this on and show the next generation. If you want to play, you have to play. And you've got to take your conditioning serious. You've got to stabilize your core. You've got to strengthen your core, and you've got to have a good engine. And then you can really have fun when it comes to sparring. You say, God, this guy never tires. And I was watching. Some people still don't learn of watching one fighting championship on YouTube last night. And this guy came out looking like a bodybuilder, and I thought to myself, how is he going to last to the end of the fight? And sure enough, he starts to gas, the mouth opens, and so why do these people never learn? They come out with muscles on muscles, looking like bodybuilders. Other guys come out, and even the commentators were saying, oh, this guy's such great conditioning, he's in such good shape. And it was for the first round, he looked great, and he never stopped. Takedown, punches, takedown, he was constantly going for take. And then he just seemed to stop. halfway through the fight, he's just like, where does his conditioning go? Where's his engine? So it's going back to the very beginning of the interview. It's just the Kenny Floor, and any fighter you trained at that time, you just didn't stop. There was no quit, and any time they lost a fight, it wasn't because of their conditioning. There was no quit in their engine. And I've got a piece of that, and it's very addictive. Your programs are very addictive.
Yes, I know, because I'm back on gas in the tank myself with my 8-pound vest on, and people walk by me in parks and they're like, I'm like, yeah, there's something wrong with me. All right, my friend. I appreciate you being on the program. Keep training hard. Keep training strong. Stay strong, stay together, and see you at the top, all right?
Thanks, Kevin. Take care.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.